What is unique about your discipleship training process?
We talk about the Traction program. The Traction program is what? About a 40-minute interactive adventure that a person goes through. We like to tell people that's like the trailer. If you like the trailer, then you really got to see the movie. The meat of what we're doing is not in that 40-minute intro program. That's just sort of a tickler that gets you thinking about stuff. The transformation happens in the discussion group.
Yeah.
So it's a step 1, step 2, actually step 3 program. Step 1, go through the Traction app. If this interests you and there's some things in there that are intriguing, then you probably want to get into a discussion group. Okay, and the discussion group is formalized. I mean, it's specific, it follows a specific agenda, specific timing. The questions are all pre-done, so it's, but when you take folks through that discussion group, that's when transformation starts to happen. And then step 3 is we teach you how to do that. We teach you how to be a leader of discussion groups. And when that happens, it actually takes you to, it's like, it's one thing to be taught something, it's another thing to become a teacher of it. You really learn it better when you become the teacher of it. And so as folks get trained in how to be discussion group leaders, it really sinks some of this stuff deep into their soul. And huge transformation happens at that point.
We've all been through a discussion group. I learned a lot in my own walk with the Lord. At the end, we asked, what trophy insight stood out to you? And we all pick some, and it's really fascinating to see which ones people pick. You get to know each other better as believers. You connect more and can know how to pray for each other. Anyways, it creates this unity around Scripture, because Traction isn't separate from Scripture, it's built from Scripture.
Right. And that's the definition of discipleship. It's coming alongside one another, encouraging one another, building each other up in His Word.
Right.
And it motivates that to happen.
And one thing that I've noticed is Traction, it's a discipleship method. It's an approach to discipleship, and it's teaching believers how to think. And one thing I've noticed at church and at camp is it gave us some common terminology, some ways to discuss biblical truth and point out the misconceptions in our lives. Like during camp, we would have times where we'd be like, that did not go well. We didn't handle that situation well. And someone would be like, source versus outcome, right? And so it gave us these talking points where we could refer back to what we had discussed in Traction, and we all knew, because of our discussion, what was intended. And
well, I think you're hitting at something that's absolutely fundamental about what we do, is we change the way people think so that it lines up more with the way Jesus thinks.
Right.
So when they start seeing life, they start seeing it from Jesus' perspective, which can be pretty radical in terms of transformation that happens with people.
When you go through this training, it opens up the opportunity to really look deep at these misconceptions and recognize which one of them. We don't have all of them necessarily, hopefully, but there are always at least a few of them that stand out to you and you go, oh, I'm thinking this way and I didn't even know it. And that's why I'm not understanding His Word right now when I'm studying it, or why my relationships aren't going very well, because I've had these misconceptions of the teachings of Christ because I'm looking at it from my perspective as a human, and my sinful nature is getting in the way. And often as a believer, I miss the point, and my walk with the Lord is, like we were talking about before, is just diminished.